guys, it's Mrs. Sandersfeld-Miller here, your teacher librarian at Indian Hills, and happy first day of fall. I'm just hanging outside today with my dog Indy, and we're reading some new graphic novels that we have on the new bookshelf in the library. It's called Be Prepared, about a girl who goes to camp, a Russian camp, and Drowned City, a graphic novel about Hurricane Katrina, kind of what happened during the hurricane in New Orleans in 2005. So we're just hanging out on the patio, enjoying the beautiful weather. Indy here is my 14-year-old Welsh Terrier. He has been with us for his whole life. He's getting a little old. It's getting a little bit harder for him to get around. So he reminded me of a really good book. It's called The Art of Racing in the Rain. And the movie version is coming out here pretty soon. It stars Amanda Seyfried, and if you're a This Is Us fan or a Gilmore Girls fan, Milo Ventimiglia is also in that movie. And so the story of The Art of Racing in the Rain is about this dog named Enzo, and Enzo is getting older, and he, like Indy, is kind of getting older, getting harder for him to get around, starting to have some health problems. And so Enzo is reflecting on his life as a dog and how his family has gone through some struggles, and how as a dog he's helped his family get through these struggles. So The Art of Racing in the Rain, great read. If you're a dog lover and you love dogs, it's a really good read. Sad, but a good read. Another good book that kind of reminds me of fall, since it's the first day of fall here, is Pop by Korman. And Pop is the story of a boy who moves to a new town in the summer, and he wants to join the football team. And so he's practicing one day in the summer, and he meets this guy, Charlie, and he realizes that Charlie is a former NFL linebacker, a really famous football player. And so he kind of strikes up a conversation with Charlie, and he's trying to work with his football team in the fall, but he's the new kid, so he's struggling to fit in. While he's struggling to fit in, he starts to notice that there are some things about Charlie that just don't quite add up. There's something a little bit off about Charlie. And so the book Pop is about the story of this new kid trying to fit in and trying to figure out what's going on with his new friend Charlie. So that's another good read. That book also reminded me of another good book called Curveball, and Curveball is by Jordan Sonnenblick. It's a really funny book, and the reason that book popped up in my mind is because one of my favorite fall things to do is to run on the treadmill, because I have really bad allergies, so I can't spend a ton of time outside without getting really stuffed up and getting a sinus infection. So I like to run on the treadmill, and what I do when I'm on the treadmill is I watch my favorite soap opera, General Hospital, and there's a character on General Hospital who is experiencing Alzheimer's. And so that made me think of the book Curveball. And Curveball is about a boy who is a baseball star. He's getting ready to go into high school. He's the star of his baseball team. So he's a popular kid. He's an athlete. Girls think he's cute. He's got a pretty good life going for him. Until the summer before high school, he has an accident on the baseball field, and his baseball career is pretty much over. So it's the story of this boy trying to figure out, now that he's in high school and he can't play baseball, what is he going to do with his life, and who is he? What's his identity if he can't play baseball? He starts to explore photography, so he's in a photography class, and his grandfather was a professional photographer, so he starts to spend a lot more time with his grandfather, but he starts to notice there are some things going on with his grandfather's memory, and so the book is kind of the story of him dealing with his baseball career. You know, can he rehab his injury and come back from this injury, or can he find other things that he's interested in and kind of move on with his life, but at the same time dealing with the sad things that are happening to his grandfather. So that's the book Curveball by Jordan Sonnenblick. Pretty funny book too. Jordan Sonnenblick writes with some pretty good humor too. Another book that I'd recommend is the Iowa Teen Award book from this year. It's called Goodbye Stranger. Goodbye Stranger is a story of 3 girls that are going into 7th grade, and they've been best friends for a long time, and they have promised each other that they are not going to fight, and no matter what happens in 7th grade and beyond 7th grade, that they're always going to be best friends. And so there's also a story, kind of a side story, about a boy who they're friends with. And there's also some mystery chapters sprinkled throughout the book with a mystery character. And so you don't find out who this mystery character is until the very end of the book. So that kind of adds a little bit of suspense to the book too, trying to figure out who this mystery character is, talking throughout the book about her struggles. But Goodbye Stranger, like I said, it's about these 3 girls, and they promise that they're going to be friends forever. And it's just about their struggles of, once they hit 7th grade, they all kind of start to have different interests. And so one girl joins a human rights group, another girl is kind of getting really interested in boys and has crushes on boys, and another girl just kind of wants to, wear her cat ears and draw cartoons and draw her comics that she likes to do. So the 3 friends kind of struggle with how do they keep being friends when things in their lives are changing, and they're starting to grow up and find out who they are and find their own interests, and they're not always interested in the exact same things anymore. So sometimes they like to go off on their own and do their own thing. So Goodbye Stranger, a good story about friendship, how you keep your friends and how you stay friends even when you start to notice differences between yourselves. And like I said, there's also those mystery chapters too that kind of keep things suspenseful for you. So that's Goodbye Stranger. The last book that I want to suggest, I know that a lot of students have asked for The Long Way Down, the book by Jason Reynolds, and I do have a couple of books that should be in sometime this last week of September, so hopefully by the first week of October I can get them all ready for you guys to check out. But in the meantime, a book that I would kind of consider a read-alike to that is the book Monster by Walter Dean Myers. Monster is a cool book because we have 2 versions of it. We have the regular book, which is actually written more like in a movie script format, and there's also letters, so a little bit of mixed format within that novel. It's not just words on a page, it's written as a movie script and also letters. But we also have a couple copies of the graphic novel of this version of this book too, if you like graphic novels. But Monster by Walter Dean Myers, it's about a boy who kind of finds himself in a tough spot. He fell in with a bad crowd, he did some bad things, and he's in jail. So he's in jail awaiting a trial for something really bad. It's a pretty serious charge that's up against him. And so as you're reading this book, the boy is in jail and he's writing a movie script of his story, what happened and his side of the story. So he's writing this movie script. In the meantime, his lawyer's trying to prepare him to go to trial, and the trial is going on. So the reader is finding out what the situation was and what happened throughout the trial. So it's a really I consider it a read-alike to A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, because the Jason Reynolds book kind of has an ending that leaves you kind of not 100% sure what happened at the end. And Monster is kind of similar too. At the end of Monster, you don't quite know for sure what to think. So throughout the whole entire book, you're trying to decide, is this boy innocent? Is he wrongly accused and sitting in jail and possibly could go away to jail for a really long time for something that he didn't do? Or did he make some bad decisions and was he actually responsible for what happened? So that's the book Monster by Walter Dean Myers, another great read. So thanks for listening to these book talks. If you're interested in any of these books, stop by the library anytime. Ask me about them and I'll help you find them, and hope we can get some good reads checked out to you guys. So thanks for listening and enjoy the fall. It's a beautiful weather out today.